Okay, you guys have gone over the basic structure of an atom, so let's review. Your protons have a positive charge, so the way that I remember it is that the P in proton stands for the P in positive. Your electrons are negative, and your neutrons have a neutral charge. Now, what do you notice about the word neutron and neutral? They are spelled very similar. So therefore, when choosing the correct answer for the neutron charge, you will choose the word neutral and not negative. Okay, I use an acronym called APE. You may have seen this before, but it helps me remember how to find my protons, electrons, and neutrons. Now let me explain what it stands for. So the first part, APE, stands for atomic number equal to your protons equal to your electrons. The second part, MAN, stands for mass minus the atomic number equal to your neutrons. Now, what did I say that the atomic number also stood for? Well, it's equal to your protons. So I'm going to put protons in parentheses right here because this may help you later down the road. So again, we have APE, atomic number equal to your protons equal to your electrons, mass minus the atomic number equal to your neutrons. Okay, now that we understand the basic structure of an atom and we understand protons, electrons, and neutrons and their charges, now we can take it a step further. So how do we know how many protons, electrons, and neutrons there are? Well, we use something called the element cube. The element cube has a lot of important information that we can use. But first we have to understand what it is telling us. The first part, the number at the top, is what we call the atomic number. This is our symbol of the element. This is the atomic mass of the element. And this is the scientific name of the element. Now that we know this information, we can figure out the protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom. Okay, now that we have our acronym, atomic number equals protons equals electrons, and then mass minus atomic number equals neutrons, let's look at our element cube and figure out how many protons, electrons, and neutrons we have. So we're going to take the same element cube we looked at before for lithium. The atomic number for lithium is 3, and the atomic mass is 6.941. So according to my acronym, my atomic number is equal to my protons and electrons. There is not a trick, it is the same. So my protons equal 3, and my electrons equal 3. Now, to find neutrons, you have to look at the mass, and there is a little trick. You do have to make sure it's rounded. Subtract the atomic number, and you can find your neutrons. So let's look at our atomic mass. Our atomic mass is 6.941. If we round that to the nearest whole number, 6.9 will round to 7. Then we will subtract our atomic number, and we get 4. So we have 4 neutrons. So our PIN, or protons, electrons, and neutrons, and a single atom of lithium has 3 protons, 3 electrons, and 4 neutrons. Okay, now that we know how to find the protons, electrons, and neutrons of an atom from the element cube, which is located on the periodic table, I now have a couple of questions for you. Question 1. Do protons determine an element's identity? Well, the answer is yes. Do you know why? Well, let me ask you this. Look on your periodic table and tell me, do any of the elements have the same atomic number? Your answer should be no. They do not. So if I know that my protons equal my atomic number, then I should be able to find which element or atom I'm talking about according to the number of protons, which is the identity of that element. So let's do an example. If I tell you I'm looking for an element that has 3 protons, then its atomic number is what? Three. Well, guess what? If I know my atomic number is 3, then I know the element that I'm talking about is lithium. Second question. Do protons always equal electrons? The answer to this is a little bit more complicated. If we look at the elements on the periodic table, then the answer would be yes, because all the elements on the periodic table have what we call a neutral charge. For something to have a neutral charge, then they must be equal. So therefore, if it's an element on the periodic table, then yes, they will be equal. Now, if it is an element that is not on the periodic table, they can gain or lose electrons. And they could have something called an ion. It could be an ion atom, or it could be an isotope, which you are not responsible to know at this point. So as far as the elements on the periodic table, protons will equal electrons, and vice versa.